All right, let's dive in. We've got some fascinating sources here today, all circling around Chester Barnard.
Barnard, yeah. He's interesting because he wasn't an academic theorist initially. He was, boots on the ground, an AT&T executive.
Ran New Jersey Bell, didn't he?
He did. So he saw organizations from the inside, from the top, and then he developed these really insightful theories about how they actually function.
Exactly. And our goal here, using these sources, is to really pull out the core of his thinking,
Mm,
especially his view of organizations, which was, well, pretty radical for its time.
Definitely. He didn't just see hierarchies or flowcharts. He talked about cooperative system.
Okay, cooperative systems. What did he actually mean by that? Sounds simple, but I bet there's depth there.
If there is. For Barnard, it meant the consciously coordinated activities or forces of two or more persons, crucially aiming towards a common purpose.
Consciously coordinated, so it requires active participation, people choosing to work together.
Precisely. It only exists because individuals decide to contribute their efforts. It's not automatic.
Right. So if it depends on choice and coordination, what did he see as the absolute must-haves, the
That-
essential conditions for this system to even work?
He laid out three really critical elements. First, you need individuals who have a willingness to contribute. They have to actually want to participate.
Okay, makes sense. What else?
Second, there needs to be a common purpose, something clear that everyone understands and ideally accepts as the goal they're working towards.
A shared goal. Got it. And the third?
And this one's vital, communication.
Mhm.
Effective communication is the absolute bedrock. It's how you achieve that conscious coordination.
People, purpose, and communication. Seems fundamental. But why do people keep contributing? What keeps them in the system day after day? You mentioned this idea, the contribution satisfaction equilibrium.
Ah, yes. This is where Barnard gets really into the human side of it. He argued that people are constantly, maybe not even consciously, weighing their contributions, their time, effort, skills against the satisfaction they get back.
And satisfaction isn't just pay, right?
Not at all. It includes material things like salary, sure, but also non-material inducements. Things like recognition, feeling a sense of belonging, status, the opportunity to do meaningful work.
So it's a balance.
Yeah.
And the executive's job.
It's largely about persuasion. Keeping that scale tipped so people feel the satisfaction outweighs their contribution, making it worthwhile for them to keep cooperating towards that common purpose.
It's about influence, not just orders, which leads perfectly into maybe his most famous idea, the acceptance theory of authority.
Right. This really turns the traditional view upside down. Barnard said authority doesn't inherently reside in the manager or the position. It only becomes real, it only exists when the person receiving an order actually accepts it. If they don't accept it, for whatever reason, then authority in that instance hasn't actually been exercised.
Wow. Okay, so authority isn't just imposed from the top down. It actually flows upwards from the subordinate.
In a very real sense, yes. It's granted by the person who chooses to obey. And he didn't think this acceptance was just random either. No, he talked about the zone of indifference. This is like the range of orders people will accept without really questioning them, almost automatically.
Okay, a zone where you just do it. But what makes an order fall inside that zone?
Four conditions, basically. The person has to understand the order. They need to see it as consistent with the organization's overall purpose. It shouldn't conflict too badly with their personal interests. And, importantly, they have to believe they're actually mentally and physically able to comply with it.
Understood, aligned with purpose, aligned with self-interest, and feasible.
Mm.
So authority is constantly being negotiated, in a way.
You could say that. It's not a given right. It depends on meeting those conditions for acceptance. Which brings us back to communication again.
Because you have to understand the order first.
Exactly. Barnard felt communication was so central, he basically said communication is authority. Without clear, effective communication channels, that acceptance can't happen, coordination breaks down, the whole system weakens.
So communication isn't just part of authority, it's foundational to it.
Absolutely fundamental.
Okay, so pulling this together, if organizations are these delicate human systems built on cooperation and acceptance, What did Barnard see as the core job of the executive?
Well, based on all this, their main functions are about enabling that cooperative system. First, establishing and maintaining that system of communication we just talked about.
Right.
Second, securing the essential services from individuals managing that contribution satisfaction balance through the right mix of inducements and persuasion.
Making sure people stay willing.
Exactly. And third, a really key one, formulating and defining the organizational purpose. He saw a moral dimension to this, giving people something worthwhile to rally around. It's much less about command, much more about fostering cooperation.
That feels so different from older sort of machine-like views of organizations, doesn't it? Where it's all just command and control.
Completely different. It brings in the informal organization, the culture, the human relationships that make things actually work or not work. It recognizes organizations are living social systems.
So thinking about this for you, our listener, how much does this resonate with your own experiences at work, or even in volunteer groups? This focus on engagement, on culture, on leadership needing influence, not just rank.
Yeah, Barnard was really ahead of his time. He was talking about the foundations of employee engagement and organizational culture long before those became buzzwords.
The big takeaway then seems to be that organizations aren't just structures on paper. They're dynamic, human systems built on willing cooperation, earned acceptance, and clear communication.
A much more, well, human and maybe fragile view, but also a more powerful one when it works.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with. If authority really depends on acceptance, and people are always weighing contribution against satisfaction, what does that suggest about where power and stability truly come from in any kind of group effort, a company, a team, even relationships?
It suggests it comes from buy-in, from shared value, from that ongoing balance, perhaps.
Something to think about. Thanks for providing the sources that allowed this deep dive today.